Who's ready to hear from the Selenium Conference, the committers panel? Sound good? All right. All right, I'm waiting for some notes to come in. We're going to hand out a couple of prizes here.
Yeah, I've got notes here. Okay, so Applitools is giving away a Nintendo 3DS XL handheld console. I was expecting more of a woo, but that'll do. And we've got some winners here. Who wants to read these? Do you want to read
I think I can read them.
A winner.
We have a winner. If that winner is not present, I have an alternative. At some point, I get it. If y'all aren't here. All right. Mr. Jakob Kminek. Mr. Jakob Kminek. Am I pronouncing it so badly he cannot understand his name?
Looks about right.
Jakob.
Going once.
Going once.
Is there anyone in the room called Jakob?
Different surname. You sure I'm not just butchering it? All right. All right. Sean Butler. We're getting close to Marcus getting a 3DS. I won't even give it to my kids. I'm going to keep it. It's mine. Sean Butler going once, going twice. We got 3 more names. or 2 more names. Gerfried Klein. Gerfried. Gerfried Klein. Gerfried Klein. People didn't really want to hang around for
This is why you never leave a conference early.
I'm feeling really good about my kids' Christmas now.
Do you need a hug, dude?
Huh?
Do you need a hug?
No, I don't. Mateus. It's not the pronunciation that's the problem. It's the writing that's the problem. I can't actually read it.
It wasn't me.
Okay.
Pluta?
Mateus.
Yay!
Yay! All right, Mateus.
That's okay. Come on down.
The prize is in the hands of the committers. I think it magically disappeared. Uh-oh. That's all right. Uh-oh.
No, we're good. So enjoy your new Nintendo 3DS, and if you find any visual bug, you know where to report it.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Bill McGee to hand out the drone.
Thank you, Marcus.
You're getting it.
We'll do the same thing. If we don't find a winner within the first 4 or 5 names, it could be your kids or yours. So we're going to do things a little bit differently. As you know, this was the find the flaw in the Selenium script. I did have one character say, "Why did you make it so easy?" Which should be not surprising given the audience. We actually had more answers and more correct answers than we ever had before. So we've actually decided to add another prize. 85% of the people got it right, so that's going to be 1 name out of 70. The other 15, if you didn't get it right, we're going to throw in a secondary prize, and that's a free Selenium training course offered by Sauce Labs. And I'm not kidding. It's actually a $750 value. It's online, instructor-led, and be actually very curious to get your feedback after that. So, Cyrus, are we able to get this thing up on the screen?
Your thing fell asleep.
Oh. Here.
Oh.
Okay. So actually what we really need is this screen here. Okay. There we go. Okay, so it's 1 out of 70. $60. Okay, now. Oh, come on. Thank you.
is displayed.
It's just to build the anticipation.
There it goes. 60. It's
Robert
up there
Kaiser.
between 59 and... Lim Sim!
It's over there.
Jason's stolen it.
All right. Training. Bill, can you describe the correct answer?
You know, if someone ever freeze frames this video, they can figure out who not to hire as well. Vladimir.
It's a training.
Okay, thank you very much. On to the committers, right?
All right.
Good night, everyone.
Okay. We are going to start off. We've got a few questions submitted. However, I want to start off giving the world's quickest introduction. Name and function you play as a committer and why you're on this stage.
Hi, I'm Daniel Wagner-Hall. I wrote the first Chrome driver, the second Chrome driver, I think maybe the third Chrome driver. Not the one that you're using today, though. That was someone else, and a bunch of random stuff throughout the code base, but not for one.
My name's David Burns. I do a lot of the Python stuff, and I own a lot of the Mozilla WebDriver stuff and co-edit of the W3C spec.
I'm Jim Evans. I work on the IE driver, the .NET bindings, and I also work on the W3C spec as part of the working group.
I'm Simon Stewart. I created WebDriver. I'm the lead of the Selenium project, the co-editor of the W3C specification, the owner of the Java bindings, and I've contributed code to every single part of the code base.
Dave Hunt, one-time maintainer of Selenium IDE, more recently contributor to the Python client bindings and the Travis CI integration.
I'm Titus Fortner, and I maintain the Ruby bindings.
I'm Samit Bal, and I'm the current owner of the Selenium IDE.
I am Dan Cuellar. I've never committed to the Selenium project, but I did commit some things to the Appium project, the GUIs, the original iOS implementation. Most of my stuff is dead now, but I'm up here too.
He committed the concept.
Yeah, Jonathan Lips. All that I've committed to in terms of Selenium, I think, is the mobile spec repo. So some words, but I wrote a lot of Appium.
I'm Jason Huggins, and I'm a real-life chaos monkey.
Thank you, gentlemen. In all honesty, that was a little faster than I expected. We have several questions. One I haven't quite figured out how to summarize, so I'll go with the second one. I'm going to pick on the newest committer on the project, which I believe is Titus, but it might be wrong.
Yeah, on the stage.
There's a very generic question, and I think it's a good one just to aim it at someone so we don't get 11 answers. How would you summarize this year of work, of your work in Selenium? 5 words.
I wrote a lot of code.
Fantastic. Actually, I think we can pass the microphone.
Some of it was good. I said some of it was good.
All right. Some other folks can answer that if they want to, if you want to pass it around.
I mean, talk about, you know.
That was a little faster than I expected also.
So yeah, I've actually had the commit bit for quite a while, and started out like docs and like adding pretty, I mean, I was looking back, terrible Java tests as well. But yeah, this year has been great for me because I've got more involved. I've gained confidence working on the Python client binding, so I want to thank David Burns for that. Yeah, adding in the Travis integration, making sure that this is 5 words? Okay. Yeah, so yeah. The Travis CI integration is something I was really keen to get set up as well. So now we have every pull request, every commit, we run a whole bunch of tests now, and it's awesome. Yeah.
5 words. We finally released Selenium 3.
I can't in 5 words. I can't in 5 words.
We finally got Apple involved.
Yeah. I've been asked for people to basically eat the microphone while they're talking for the captioner's benefit.
Shaking of heads here. We're done.
Okay.
Next
Fantastic.
question.
This is an interesting one. You can answer it any way you want. What is your preferred way to document a Selenium test for transparency reasons?
How do I document?
Didn't we say we weren't going to hand Jason the microphone?
Okay, hold on. Here we go. Have a microphone.
Wait, to document?
To document a Selenium test.
Yes. Video, actually, I think.
Robots.
I think video output of your test is the thing that's the most interesting. That's it. I've been selling that idea for a long time, trying to get everyone to buy it.
So this is a good follow-up to a talk that sounds like some people probably missed the sort of core message, but is there a plan to merge Appium and Selenium to one driver?
Dan, should we do this one at the same time? Okay. Dan says if I get him drunk enough, it might happen.
But your answer is?
No. I mean, that's not how plans work on this project. What we do... Yeah, what we do, this happened when Jason and I agreed to merge Selenium and WebDriver, is we get tipsy together, and then someone goes, wouldn't it be a great idea if you did that? And the other one goes, you're my best mate. And then we accidentally do things. So there are no current conscious plans to do it. Oh, still Cage and I fight as well. That's, yeah, we need to do.
I think the main reason we'll never work together is that Simon hates JavaScript, so that would have to change somehow. Oh.
Fight.
I don't hate JavaScript. The thing I hate is fashion-driven development. Now, fashion-driven development is the one where people go, we're going to use this new hot technology. And you go, why? And they go, because it's new and hot. And you're going, you muppet. Like,
Yeah,
muppet
JavaScript
is a very mild swear word here. It's okay.
It's amazing how brand new JavaScript is.
JavaScript is, I mean, Node is still super hot and trendy. The only thing more super hot and trendy is some functional language, like do it in Haskell. Closure. Close your eyes and hope it's going to finish soon.
I thought you were a fan.
I love Closure.
Okay.
Like I said, Simon hates JavaScript, so
I
probably not
hate
gonna
all
happen.
languages.
Okay, I have a
Therefore.
feeling. I'm going to see if I can place a mental
Unfortunately.
bet on the answer to this question. How does the panel feel about a Selenium certification?
I think this entire panel is certifiable. If that helps.
I don't see a lot of value in that. I don't see a lot of value in it. I mean,
If the person who posted the question would be kind enough to elaborate, I mean, I don't know if I want to turn it into an actual debate, but
I mean, well, maybe we could do it like Scrum certification, where if you show up to a meeting, then you get certified.
you've been to the conference, you're certified. Here's your certification.
I actually know someone whose cat is a Scrum Master. Like, certification like that is worthless.
I think I proposed on IRC once to have a Jim Evans certification. If Jim Evans says that you're good, then there's your certification.
Can I,
Too much credit.
can I express an unpopular opinion? I don't think certifications are evil. In a former life, before the Selenium project, before I even got into programming, I was a enterprise applications maintainer of sorts and an Oracle DBA. And before I realized, closed source proprietary stuff is evil and you should never use it, I was really super into it. And I remember having one-on-ones with my manager, wanting and really looking forward to getting an Oracle DBA certification. Like, this was my life for a while. And I look back at that, I mean, that's not what I do anymore, but I didn't look at the curriculum for becoming a certified Oracle DBA as like an evil thing. I think where certifications become evil, it's when it's like, if it's kind of a nebulous like philosophy degree of like how to be a proper person in the world, I think it quickly becomes horrible. But if there's a whole bunch of technical stuff that you need to know, like how do web servers work, how does the JSON wire protocol work, all of that stuff, like that is technical skill you can either know or not know, and it'd be easy to grade yes or no. When it becomes like, what's the best way to test something, that's where everything falls off the rails. And it's also evil if someone's just creating a certification company just to make a bucket of money. That's where it's also evil. But I think where it, like if there's a whole bunch of technical skill to learn, it's not evil to say, you learned it, congratulations, here's a piece of paper.
Yeah, the problem is that Selenium, in the way it's used by lots of people, is just an API. It's a bit like being like Google Guava certified, which is a pointless thing. Far better would be to certify the skills that sit around. How do you write test automation? How do you maintain test automation? How do you fit that into a development process? And that isn't Selenium certification, that's testing certification, or being an adult developer certification.
It's a shame there are so few adults. All right. I know Simon's feelings on this. I want someone else to answer the question. How does the panel feel about splitting the language bindings into their own separate GitHub repos?
Please don't.
We were really close with Ruby to being able to, but there are things that you need the build system from JavaScript and so like what you have to build the drivers, and so for that to get into the Ruby project, so you have to use Simon's new buck excitement now in order to get everything. And one of the atoms, the get attribute, and so Ruby would be one of the easiest to split apart because there's only those things, but it still has to stay in there to be built with everything else at the same time.
But you don't need to check out the entire tree. Like, we have structured the code base so you can pull out just the bits you need in order to compile the stuff you need. Now, no one does that because nobody understands how to do like partial checkouts in Git. So yeah, I mean, theoretically it's possible.
Depth equals 1, right?
Pardon?
Depth equals 1, right?
No, that's a shallow claim.
Oh, got it. Okay.
See this?
That's why I don't do this anymore.
This is why we have just one unified tree. I know it's going to be all right. I'm done. Anyone else?
All right.
You convinced me last year. I'm sold.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing that's really interesting is as we've got this protocol, people can just implement the protocol and do whatever they want. Like the PHP bindings live outside of the main tree. There are approximately, 9 different JavaScript bindings or something terrifying?
Oh, there's got to be more than that.
10.
There's got to be more than that.
12. There we go. There's an infinitely incrementing number of JavaScript bindings, probably done as a micro framework.
Yeah, there's a microservices Kubernetes version of a JavaScript WebDriver somewhere.
Oh, we've lost our dude asking the questions. Come back,
Sorry.
Marcus.
I'm
Come back.
coming, but I'm trying to
Step toward the light.
I would like to know if there are any live questions from the audience.
I mean, we're here. Now's it. Or just come over and slap us and then disappear. Don't actually slap us. That would be suboptimal.
This is Vicky. She's marvelous.
Thanks.
Hold on. Can we just have a round of applause for the event organizers?
Absolutely.
And while we're at it, just look at the screen and direct thanks to the stenographers who have been amazing. Thanks, guys.
Chase, our hero. All right, no live questions. I'm going to try.
We're not
the
I
worst
ran to get this mic. Ask some questions.
We only do
We're
this
not going
once
to
a year.
bite. The very worst thing that would happen is you'd get a hug. Or actually, the worst thing that would happen is you get a hugs.
Oh.
LOL.
Hi.
Hi.
I started using Selenium 3 a couple of weeks ago, and I can't get the actions work in Firefox. Is there any way, what is the timeline to get it working?
They hand the microphone to the Mozilla guy.
So the kind of the backstory is, if I start with why things seemingly look slow in that area, is when we looked at the Actions API and when you're creating a specification, your specification suddenly becomes immutable. You cannot kind of change it, and you don't it's very hard for browser vendors to go look at errata and go, yes, we'll fix all of that. So when I was doing my talk today, do all the browsers, all the drivers do it? Do they do it well? And this is one of the times we thought, actually, we can do this a lot better. So we've been doing that. We've changed the way the actions have been created to actually make them a lot more future-proof, so you can kind of do many things with them. So that's kind of the back history. Where we are now is we're about halfway through doing the implementation of it. And so by the end of this year, we will have it all in Firefox. And then from there, it's just kind of making sure that Selenium bindings catch up and are available, and we kind of do a good release with everything so that people can start using it. And you'll be able to do a lot more than kind of just do a hover that most people really want. So.
And just to follow on that, speaking from the language binding side of things, in fact, Simon and I, we spent part of our time here together actually working to make whatever modifications would be necessary to the client-side API and to accommodate the changes in the protocol and make sure that we have full fidelity of what we're now able to do with using the W3C version of the protocol, as well as making sure that that existing code that already works or that's already written using the existing Actions API will continue to function.
So just to add to that, so even with Selenium 3, if you stick with either Firefox 47 or our extended support release of Firefox 45, you just need to set your Marionette capability to false, and it won't try and use Gecko Driver. It will use the unlisted bundled add-on, and you can use that for the time being. If your tests absolutely need to use Actions, and then as soon as we support it in Gecko Driver and Marionette and the latest Firefox, you'll be able to just switch that capability.
I started implementing Selenium 3 a few weeks ago, and with Firefox, when we move to the next page, it gets the title of the new page, but the DOM of the previous page. It's like not getting the DOM of the new page. Seriously.
Have you raised a bug about this?
No.
Right. So this is going to be the same problem that every driver is going to go through. You're going to have the same thing with Edge. Unfortunately, just the way timings seem to have happened, Firefox is the one who's getting the brunt of all the problems. If I had my way, everyone would be moving over at the beginning of next year. But just things have not worked out that way. But there are other things that have also come up where we just go, oh, look, because with the specification, we need someone to implement it, so we know that the specification's correct. And if you've already got those implementations from the open source project, you can't just go, oh yeah, it's doing the right thing. There's no proof. So we've been kind of implementing it, and there are times where we go, oh, we haven't actually specified this, and then there's an example that's recently come up of if you have an implicit wait, do you wait for an element to be there to do interactions, or do you not? And then some drivers do, some drivers don't, and then it was there in Firefox driver, it's not there in Marionette because it's just this weird edge case that's not been specified that not everyone knew about. Not even people in the project were like, oh, I didn't realize that. So.
There is something really subtle here, which is raise bugs. We can't fix things unless we're told that things are broken. We can't. Pardon?
With test cases.
Yeah, with test cases. Now, like raising a good bug, like the bugs we see sometimes are like, it no work. Literally had that bug. Like people email me and go, urgent, I really need your help, I have a problem, and you're like, just not enough to help, right? So the information we need when we're fixing a bug is which version of Selenium are you on, which driver are you using, if you're using one of the native things like Gecko driver, Edge driver, Chrome driver, which version of that are you using, and a reproducible test case. If you can't share a mechanism to reproduce that test, then don't bother filing a bug, because we're just going to close it because we can't fix it, because we can't read your minds. File good bugs, people, and we can fix things. File bad bugs, and we're going to do what we normally do, which is change source control provider and just close everything.
And one final follow-up to that. I don't know if it was explicitly clear in what Simon was saying about filing a good bug, not only with a test case that includes Selenium code, but it also has to include an HTML page against which that Selenium code is expected to run. Very often you can run the same Selenium code against two different pages and get two entirely different sets of behavior. I can easily imagine two different pages that the same Selenium code would run against and do two different things. So having an HTML page against which to run is really, really important as part of that bug report.
Thank you.
I feel like that. Oh,
there's a local one.
Okay, live.
I just wanted to get an idea of what are you guys most passionate about for Selenium in the next year or two? What are you really excited about?
I'm excited about being able to delete a bunch of it. When the Gecko driver is like finished and stable, deleting it will be great. When the Edge driver is finished and stable, deleting the IA driver will be great. 4 years ago, was it, we deleted the Chrome driver? It was a happy moment. All of my work for like the 2 or 3 years before that went down the drain, and it was a happy, happy day.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to deleting a lot of the Firefox code, just going, that's
I wrote
now.
some of it, I'm sorry.
I own it now, Daniel. That, and I think that for me, kind of working with other browser vendors, seeing them ship their implementations and seeing them succeed through shipping their implementations, that's the kind of the thing I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, you kind of stole my thunder there a little bit. I'm really looking forward to in the next year seeing the spec come to move to last call and then to candidate recommendation, and seeing the implementations solidify that actually implement that spec from the browser vendors. That's going to be super, super exciting for me.
I will definitely fourth the deleting code thing. That's going to be sensational. So removing things is going to be good. Shipping things, like finishing that spec, getting it done. And then the really nice thing is making the Selenium project irrelevant. Like, when we get that spec out there, the browser vendors suddenly get the ability to have far more control over their destiny. And we set the sort of a low watermark for testability and automatability in browsers, which is super important to me. So that's really good. And then that allows a Selenium project, like I'm looking forward to seeing the interesting things we're going to do when we're not responsible for figuring out how to make the latest browser do the thing that it used to do 2 weeks ago, but now it doesn't because it's shifted underneath us. I can only imagine how horrific like the iOS updates must be for the Appium team.
I'm looking forward to actions. Like, just, obviously it's a pain point for some people, but we want to see it land as much as you guys do as well. And just looking at the actions and the specification, you're going to be able to do some crazy, amazing things with that. And whether or not you're going to need to for your tests, there's a lot of possibilities. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen there.
Obviously, I'm looking forward to pushing towards the Selenium 4 and getting the W3C standard completely implemented. I'm also really trying to encourage people in the community, the Ruby community, to help commit. And we had a few people in the workshop yesterday for Fix a Bug, Become a Committer that seemed interested. And I love pair programming. I'm on the IRC/Slack channel constantly, and would love to work with anyone who's interested in adding some Ruby code to the Selenium.
One thing I always look forward to is deleting code. I kind of clean up all the junk. So I think I'm going to do that in Selenium project as well.
I'm not looking forward to the next version of iOS because it always means panic and fear and bad things. But I am looking forward to the day that Apple catches up with Microsoft and realizes that people actually want to automate with the Selenium WebDriver protocol and they start shipping it themselves. And I'm also looking forward to StarDriver Enterprise, where we automate things, more and more things. So I was really excited about the Mac bindings last week. I don't know what's next, but that 3DS will probably be automated by next week, maybe. We'll have a driver for that. I don't know, something. That drone, too. So I'm looking forward to StarDriver.
I just heard someone say, I can't wait for the day that Microsoft catches up to Apple. Sorry, reverse
Yeah.
that. I just still...
Three things come to mind for me, more related to Appium, I suppose, but one that's kind of bridging both of our projects. A long time ago, talking to Simon and other committers about extending the W3C spec with mobile-specific behaviors or some more general automation behaviors. And they said, we'll talk about it now, but we'll really talk about it when the W3C spec is done. Let's get that finished, and then we can talk about adding things to it. So now that that's close to being done, we can start talking about that. That'll be fun. I'm excited about what Dan just said as well, kind of seeing what new things are automatable this year and trying to build a WebDriver interface for them. Those are always really cool experiences to kind of break new ground and let people automate things they haven't before. Thirdly, I am excited to hopefully have a more diverse committer panel at Selenium Conf 2017. That would be really cool. We'll figure that out somehow.
That was literally the thing I was going to say. Plus one. The thing I look forward to is we do have some diversity. We've got people with shoelaces and people without, and some people with hair and not. But we need way more different kinds of diversity other than just being a bunch of dudes. So I look forward to this being obviously representative of the entire world and user community. There are people out there, and I would love for us to be even that much more intentional. We were intentional, and we're getting better with diversity on the list of speakers. We could always be better, but yeah, we obviously have a lot of work to do still. And so over the next year, if we can be even that much more intentional about making this a very diverse project in all the ways you can be diverse. Yeah, but again, I'm just repeating what you just said. But yeah, that's what I look forward to.
I'll just add something to that real quick, that the charter of the organizing committee for the last 4 or 5 years has been inclusiveness with the speaker selection, and White October events gave us sort of a means for how to accomplish that this year, and that's another thing that they've contributed to this project. So just big gratitude to White October events for that. Why are there so many @beta annotations in Selenium 3?
It means don't rely on them. We reserve the right to change a beta, any interface or anything marked with beta is something we reserve the right to change without any warning. If it isn't marked with beta, the deprecation cycle is we mark it deprecated, we do at least one release, and then in the next release we feel free to remove it. We're not like in the Java, if you look at the JDK, there are methods that have been deprecated since 1.0, right? Like we don't keep them around forever, we clean out the old craft and we move people over. And sometimes we do that with major interfaces. Like, does anyone else remember rendered web element? Mm-hmm. Yep. Rendered web element was a key interface and we deleted it when we realized it was utterly unnecessary. Yeah, so there are loads of things marked beta because we reserve the right to change them. and that means that we're not completely confident that we've got the API right. If you think we've got it right, send us a pull request removing the beta tag and explain how awesome it is, or just remove the method entirely and tell us how awful it is. But like, be nice, right? Minimal name calling, maybe a hug.
Cool. For Summit, what is the current and future state of Selenium IDE?
Oh, I was hoping this question would never arise.
I'm sorry.
So the current state of the IDE is that we managed to get one release signed, and it takes a lot of effort to get the next version signed. And that simply is not going to be efficient going forward. So we have to come up with some new stuff. We have to come up with a new plan. Until we know what that is, I think we will have one final release this year, more or less. My recommendation would be to stick with an older version of Firefox and let your old tests run and find the plan for migrating to the new stuff.
So there is, like, as much as this panel probably hates people using the IDE, we actually do see a lot of value in it. One of the things I would like to see if I can do, and this is purely hope and nothing more than that, is if I can convince people at Mozilla why this is actually a really good idea for us to do it, and how this could potentially be a differentiator within the browser. So hopefully we can see how this plays out and kind of watch the space, really.
Jason wants to say something.
All right, I'll pass it in. It's coming your way. There are some quite elegant recording tools out there that aren't anything to do with Selenium, but are open source. And so one of the things that we might consider is having a respectful conversation with the owners of those and going like, can we make your tool output Selenium tests? But I think I like David's dream far more than that, because then it takes the responsibility away from the Selenium project and it puts it in the hands of the people who are best at implementing that stuff.
So I was talking with Summit earlier. How many downloads does the Selenium IDE get, the last version? Oh, how many was it? 10 million. I thought you said
10
there was
million
another
as
number
of
that you said.
2013?
So in 2013, we had more than 10 million. And since we got the last version signed and released on Mozilla Add-ons website, I think it's 1.324, 1,300,000 something. Yeah. So it means that people still use this.
I'll kind of pick on another project, but I do it with respect. There's other open source test automation projects. And that community was very anti-record playback tool. And the Selenium project has always been kind of indifferent and kind of lightly supportive of it as the committers of sorts. But I think I'll try to keep this short, but I'm very passionately pro Selenium IDE. It has to exist in a certain way. I think the Selenium project succeeded in a million different ways because the Selenium IDE existed. It's a great kind of on-ramp for people getting used to it. The problem with the Selenium IDE is that your typical user does not come to the conferences, does not go to the meetups, does not buy testing books, because they have like a job to do and they've got some other thing. I use the ls command all day, but I'm never going to go to the ls conference or VI or whatever. I'm just like, it's a tool, I use it, and I move on. And there's two particular places where I really got Selenium IDE religion. It was the Tokyo Selenium meetup, although what they called a meetup, it was totally a conference. It was intense. And one of the reasons specifically is because you have some people who English is not their primary language. So not everyone is totally comfortable writing in English, Java, JavaScript, Python all day long. The Selenium IDE was you could localize it. So when you're looking at your tests running, it could be in the native language of what you're doing. And under the hood, it's all English stuff and under the hood. Anyway, so in non-English primary speaking languages, Selenium IDE is actually really useful. And these are very advanced programmers, but when they were trying to communicate with their teams, it was way more approachable to see in the IDE the Japanese characters coming across the screen. So like there's a whole localization aspect of that I think, unfortunately, culturally blind to that, which is why I would argue that we should have a Selenium conference in Tokyo. That's where you're going to find some, and it's not an accident that Selenium IDE was created by Shinya Kasatani, lives in Japan. Like there is a language thing there. The other thing was in the whole HealthCard.gov recovery efforts. I'll try to keep the story short, but the smartest programmer I've ever had the luxury of working with, or one of them, Gabriel Burt. He's one of the guys who worked on the effort. One of the things he specifically did, and there was a problem with the whole website, was they had this anonymous shopper. I think I'm getting the facts right here. They went from having it behind a login to making it anonymous, so you can just go to this part of the website. Anyway, in the whole chaos of thing, he wrote from scratch an anonymous shopper thing, and then he came to me and said, hey Jason, we need to test this thing. And he needs to go into production tomorrow. And of course, looking back in history, the White House retweeted, hey, the anonymous shopper went out, and it's awesome, high five Gabriel Burt. And it was like a super crisis kind of a moment. We had no time to think about page objects and properly architected cloud technologies. It was like, I need this thing tested now. And I was about to go into this whole thing of Java bindings and whatever. And it's like, oh, we don't have the time. Let's download the Selenium IDE. He recorded a test. He ran it, gave me a high five. He said, awesome. And I had never heard that from him ever. And so the smartest programmer I've ever worked with was a super fan of Selenium IDE because it worked fast, and he was able to move on. So we need to have something like that for the project. And if we stay kind of like, oh, real programmers don't use that, it's just like, that's not true.
I actually want to second that, what Jason just said, and for kind of different reasons. I think something we brought up recently was that we seek more diversity in this project, and I think if we close the doors to making it accessible, we're going to prevent that. And tools like Selenium IDE and the Appium Recorder and things of that nature help people sort of get their feet wet, and then they get in and maybe they progress, maybe they don't, maybe they just get a job done like Jason said. But it is sort of opening it to people who it's not open to without it. And I guess secondly, I would also attribute a large part of Appium's adoption versus the other similar tools at the time was that we had native apps with a recorder. Nowadays, everyone, the Selenium community's come over and it's not as important as it used to be. As you've seen, the GUIs have rotted. I haven't updated them in years. Other people have kind of patched them. But I don't think we could have taken off without that. And I definitely know initially we had more people using the GUI than otherwise when we first started. Nowadays, definitely not true. But anyways, I think there's nothing bad in making technology accessible to people. And I think with nowadays everything in the world having to have a website or some kind of tech in it, and with the Internet of Things, we're going to have a shortage of programmers. And if we keep it hard to do and we don't reach out to people, I mean, yes, we'll have job security, which is awesome, but we're not going to progress like the tech world like we need to and get all this software written that needs to be written now that everyone has a computer in their pocket. So anyways, I'm very pro IDE, but use it responsibly.
One quick comment is that we know how important it is to you guys, and one thing that I want to make clear is in its current state, it probably will go away, but we will have a replacement or something for you.
One sec. Selenium Builder has the similar problem in that everything runs in the IDE. IDE is important, right? Like Jason's articulated it. I spent a huge amount of effort in the migration to Selenium 3, writing a runner to take the table-based HTML things and run them with the new architecture that we have. Like, we know that it's important. The problem we have, we're not a company, right? We haven't got a financial motivation to do it. People are doing the work they're doing because they're passionate about it and they love working on it. Now, you look at the people up here on the stage, and like Jason loves his robots, but most of the people here are doing the work they're doing because they love coding, right? You leave me alone on a rainy day, and I will quite happily sit there and tinker with code, and I will be incredibly happy. We lack someone with that passion to drive the IDE forward. If you like working on the Selenium IDE, or if you think it's important, or if you think it's the open source language of an itch that needs to be scratched, come, help, join in, right? We would love you to come and help us because we need someone whose primary focus is making sure the IDE works. As an afterthought, you can see what happens. It just falls by the wayside. But we could really do with someone who loves the IDE and the effect that has on the community and wants to participate in the project. Come and have a chat to us. If not here, then on the IRC channel, #Selenium, God forbid on Slack, or if you're really old school, over email. Anyone got anything to add to that?
Cool. Thorough answer, I would say. All right, before we ask for another live question, I feel like there's a good submitted question that this dovetails right into. So not an advanced programmer, but I want to contribute to Selenium. Where would I start?
You want to do what?
I'm not an advanced programmer,
Yeah.
but I want to contribute to Selenium. Where do I start? Is the question. Contribute.
Contribute to Selenium. Docs, documentation, oh, heavens above documentation. That would be really, really important. In fact, the interesting thing is going to be, as the W3C spec comes into force and the browser vendors take over the individual drivers, there's going to be less to do with automating the browsers and more to do with making it clear how to use this tool, how to fit it into various bits and pieces. So maybe integration with existing tool sets, or now there's the interesting opportunity to start adding value on top of Selenium. Like you've got this stable layer, like we've commoditized browser automation, right? In the same way that Linux commoditized Unix. Like, not in the same way, because Linux is hugely successful in a way that we will never be. But in the way, like browser automation is now like a problem that people view as basically solved. Like it'll move forward, but it's done now. So now we can start thinking like, okay, now we've got this base. What can we build on top of it? Like Source Labs have done interesting things with, running a grid is really difficult. Why don't we do something interesting with that? But there are other problems, like now maybe actually IDE might be something that a commercial company wants to pick up. Like I could imagine HP Enterprise or whoever it's going to be stepping up and going, you know what, we'll allow you to record your tests and we'll output Selenium script or whatever it is. So there's that. The other way to contribute is come have a chat on the IRC channel. We can point you at bugs that need fixing. Or I think we've got like 330 open bugs. Just pick one of those, put a note on it saying, hey, I'm going to have a go at this. If you need help, mark on the bug that you need help. You're not sure where to start. Somebody will eventually chime in and go like, oh, okay, here's where you go, the IRC channel, and away you go.
So another way you can help out is we have a user mailing list. Answer questions there. Stack Overflow, the Selenium tag, answer questions there. Or, as Simon said, come join us in IRC or on Slack. And people come in all the time asking their questions, help them. I want to give a shout out to Where Is My Spoon? I think it's James. I'm not sure it is, I think. But Where Is My Spoon, IRC guy, and he's essentially first-line support for Selenium on IRC. So someone comes in, asks a question, he's always there with an answer. He's got to know all of the committers and where we contribute, so he can just redirect people that come in. So yeah, there's loads of ways you can help out.
Presumably you wanted to contribute to Selenium and not Appium, but we certainly are a place that we try to make it a fun and easy place to contribute. And one of the main reasons that we rewrote everything last year was to make it easier for people to come in and contribute without having to learn so many things about our system. And so it's compared to the last time I tried to get a Selenium to build on my machine, it's quite a bit more approachable. Probably to the fact that it's in JavaScript, I guess. But so we have contributing guidelines on GitHub. We have Slack channel. We have a user discussion forum that's very active that you can help in. We have a huge issue tracker. We have like
3,000 open bugs, so way more than you.
We don't have 3,000 open bugs. We only have about 700 open bugs, but most of them are just
still double.
We just need to triage them, and there are people who are going through and doing that, and that's incredibly helpful. So that's another opportunity if it's more of your background and interest.
Can I just ask a question of you guys, and gals, and folks, and aliens, and vampires? How many of you would like to contribute to the Selenium project directly? Can I just
More than
ask,
half.
like, what stops you? Is it, it's too many of you to I mean, if you can't see it, but like a third, 2/3 of the room put their hand up, it was brilliant. Is it you have no idea how to get started? Raise your hand. Is it that the developers are just too mean and nasty? Yeah. Yeah, that'll be it. Like, are you just, okay, so you're not sure where to get started. And does anyone want to shout out like a couple of reasons? Yes. Well, I guess the biggest just shout, like 3 words, and I'll repeat it on the microphone.
The biggest problem is to get started with the very first one. So as soon as you start the first one, then
Okay, so getting started with that first build and stuff like that. This is why we run the Fix a Bug, Become a Committer workshop every single time we do Selenium Conf. Would people be interested in just us running one of those in a city somewhere that would be useful for you? There are nods. Okay, there should be documentation for it. Brilliant. Do you want to help us write that? Okay, come and have a chat afterwards. Sucker.
Voluntold.
Brilliant. All right, well, after this, come and have a chat, and we'll help you get set up and started, and we'll write some docs. Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, I'm done asking questions.
Any live questions?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for Selenium and Appium. Sometimes I really hate them, but mostly I love. So my question is there any particular flow or GitHub flow working on issues, pull requests, so I can submit pull request and in 3 days, David, for example, merge it, and okay, I'm happy. But so I see a lot of pull requests without even comment. So I suppose guys who did it, they are ready to help. So they already made something, but they don't know what they should do to get it merged. Thanks.
So some of that is my fault. Like, I do a lot of travel. I've been off the grid for about 2 weeks. So anything to do with Java, people normally wait until I come back, and then, like, I am aware of this thing called email, but I don't really know how it works. I live on IRC, so normally somebody on IRC goes, Simon, have you looked at this? And I go, and then they poke me a bit harder, and then I go and do some work. So feel free to poke and nag, but also, yeah, just if you label the thing with the language, that really helps. The flow should be like a normal pull request. Hey, look, do this. Somebody responds, and there's a discussion, and then move forward.
And I know we've mentioned it several times, just even in the last few minutes, but I want to emphasize that the real-time chat channels that we have, IRC and Slack, we have a relay that relays between Slack and IRC in real time, so either conversation you're getting the same, either medium you're getting the same conversation from all of the same people. I know I am on IRC almost every weekday on U.S. East Coast business hours all day, and am happy to chat about Selenium or really just about anything. We are just a lot. How many people have ever logged into an IRC channel in the room? Wow, about 3/4 of the room, it looks like. So that's great. And I know that in some cases you've been on IRC channels where, where if you stray off topic 1 second, then it's like, hey, stay on topic for the IRC channel. The Selenium IRC channel is not like that at all. We are a very social bunch. We joke about, we talk about, everything from Rebecca Black every Friday to to all kinds of things. So don't be afraid to come on and just sit and lurk if you have specific questions or specific things you want to contribute to the conversation. Just jump on, and we really aren't that scary. I mean I am, but most of the folks up here aren't that scary, and we'll just chat, and hopefully we can answer the questions that you might have. But please, that's the easiest way to get a hold of me in particular for project-related things is on IRC, because I'm on there every day. So, yeah.
Hey, I just wanted to say that I did tweet out. So like for Slack, you need an invitation. I tweeted out to the Selenium Conference hashtag there is an URL that will give you an auto invite to the Slack channel. So you don't have to wait for us to give you special permission.
You don't need a URL for IRC. URL.
Earl.
That's a URL, right?
Earl.
Yeah, he's from Texas.
It's an English
Their
title. No,
URLs
no,
are
no, no,
bigger
no,
over
no.
there.
He does not speak for us Texans.
I'll second what Jim says about the channel being a friendly place. Like the Rebecca Black thing, we have a robot that listens on the channel, a bot. If you type :Friday, it will link to the Rebecca Black YouTube video Friday thing. Like that's how good we are at being off topic. Like
Who broke the bill?
broke it? :YT, it'll search for things on YouTube. Occasionally people ask a really obvious question, and the most passive-aggressive thing in there is when someone does like :Google and then repeats the question, and then the first hit on Google comes back. But most of the time, like, and I've never seen it done maliciously. Like, it's just like the quickest way to answer your question is here. But it is friendly, it's supportive. Like, I've seen people come in, not know what they're doing, they're unable to program, their boss has told them to do something else, stressed out, and I've seen like the community just rally around these people, help them, teach them, educate them, lead them forward. It's where a lot of people were originally introduced to how to get used to that code base, which is a bit daunting to start with, but it gets better. I'm done. Does anyone else want to add anything? Next question?
Yeah. I'm curious about this. What kind of response do you get from vendors like Apple about owning their automation strategy? Do they have reasons for saying no, or do they just not respond? Now, I'm going to... Yeah.
Talking to Apple is like talking to a brick wall. It might respond, but I don't think so. Jonathan, has your experience been pretty similar? Yeah. But we have seen some positive signs. They opened a manager position, and in the job spec it said they'd like someone who could better liaison with the open source community. The bad news is many members of the Appium project applied to that job and they did not call us. So we're not sure exactly how sincere that was. We've also seen apparently job recs for automation engineers in Apple that are using Appium, which is very confusing to me in general, given that allegedly they have a secret framework that they all use to automate things. Anyways, we try to talk to Apple. It doesn't talk back, but it's like SETI. We're going to keep talking, and one day the aliens will reply. And I don't know what they say, but hopefully they're not coming to kill us all.
The world has changed from... Yep, gotcha. The world has changed from where it used to be. Like, TDD and developers doing testing used to be unheard of, and now it's... I'm not going to say common, but it's more widespread than it was. Google definitely know the value of automation. I think Apple are increasingly coming to that realization. So you're right, it seems like you're talking to a brick wall, but maybe it's more like one-way glass. They can see you. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like those memes you see on the internet, right? And then we tell them that. But I think genuinely there's a hunger and an appetite for companies within those companies to be able to automate their own stuff. And once you've got those hooks in place, then you just sort of make it available.
So from many, many interactions with Apple, Apple's very, very protective of everything that they do. And I think the one-way glass is a really good analogy. Like, they are listening and they want to interact with you, but they've just got this glass that kind of stops them. Like, they can't get through. And if they try, like, just drill a hole so they can speak to you, they'll lose their job. Like, it can be that bad within Apple. It used to be that way in Microsoft. And a lot of rather large enterprise-level companies where it's not an engineering issue, it tends to be a legal issue. And legal are that mirror. They go, yeah, you try speak anywhere through us, and you will lose your job.
The W3C spec was a really important part of the process, right? The W3C allow companies like Apple, and Microsoft of old to participate in a community and an automation standard that otherwise they would find fraught with difficulty to join in. So part of the thing is they do want to help, but we need to be able to be creative about providing a channel through which people can participate feeling safe and secure.
We are just about out of time. I just want to ask one more question, the answer to which is a one-word answer that I want you to all chime in unison.
Shall we stand
Will WebDriver ever support returning status codes from the browser? 1, 2, 3.
No! I mean, it might.
Thank you, panel. We would like to get all